Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the Late Afternoon Glass Off. As always, I'm joined here by my good friend, Zach. Zach, how are you today?
I'm pretty fried, googie egg, Finley. I am tired, my friend, but I'm good.
Good to hear. We got a pretty exciting episode in the works for today. We sat down about a month ago and had a chat with Luke Thompson, who's currently seeded third, I believe, on the Challenger Series. He's looking really good to qualify for next year's tour. So we wanted to sort of sit down, get to the nuts and bolts of who he is, and kind of give you guys a bit of information about him, because you're going to be seeing a lot of him soon. And it was a pretty successful one, Zach, right?
Yeah, that was probably one of, I won't say the favorite, it's one of my favorites.
Yeah.
He just shared a lot of insights that I didn't see coming, goes pretty deep and personal, unprompted as well. Like, I think me and you were sitting there like, oh my God, didn't really poke the bear for this one. So yeah, this is a really good, honest chat where he talks about, like I said, personal struggles and surfing heats with Jordy Smith and the highs and the lows of becoming a pro surfer. So definitely a good listen.
Yeah, absolutely. So we'll get into that shortly, but if you want to hang around till the end, I suggest you do, because we've got a little sneak peek into the upcoming Stab in the Dark X featuring Kelly Slater that we were lucky enough to be granted early access to, and we've got some thoughts on that, so we'll get into that after the interview. But for now, enjoy this chat with Luke Thompson.
What's up, boys?
Yo.
Yes, brother.
Sorry,
How you
yeah, all
going?
good, eh? Sorry, it took me a bit of time to log in, yeah.
A bit of mountain biking, I hear.
I did do a bit of... How did you find that out? I have done some mountain biking, but it was pretty ruthless. I did some mountain biking and my bum's so sore. Like the past 3 days, it's been like painful to sit down, painful to move, but it was pretty sick. Did like a 40-kilometer little mountain bike on the e-bikes with the India hockey team, which was quite interesting, but it was super cool.
Sick. How did you get that piece of information other than that?
The mountain biking info came from... Well, it was an honest mistake last week. We also we rocked up on, what day was it? Friday.
Oh
Friday
yeah,
night.
I actually
Friday
flip.
for that.
Sorry about that. That was my bad.
We were pretty onto it. We kind of had some idea that it may have happened. We were sitting there and we were like, we haven't heard from Luke for a little bit, and I sent you a message throughout the day, and I knew you'd been busy, and I was like, I reckon there's every chance here we're just gonna have to reschedule this. And then you messaged us like, I don't know, you weren't actually that late. You're about an hour late or whatever, but you're like, oh, I'm sorry, lads, I've just been mountain biking. We're like, oh, it's all good.
Oh yeah, flip. I actually completely forgot about that. Yeah.
No, Zach was frothing because he's been playing a bit of Skate 4 recently, and he got to come over here and play Skate 4 for a bit. So it was
It's all happy days.
Sick.
it's all happy days.
Yeah, that was completely my bad, because I actually the day before I'd rescheduled already, and it was my like the guy that I do like mental coaching with. He's been training the India hockey team, and he was like, "Oh, we down here. Like we've been in Stellenbosch. You should we're gonna go for a hike tomorrow, and then I'd love for you to come bring the boys and take them surfing." So I was like, sick, yeah, I'd be so keen to do that. So that's why I originally rescheduled. And then that evening, like we spent the whole day with them and whatever, and then took them for a surf, and then came home, and I was like so finished. And he was like, bro, I've got you a mountain bike. We're going for a 40-kilometer mountain bike tomorrow. Like just pretty much rock up. Are you in? And I was like, I didn't even really think. And I was like, yeah, I'm in. And then woke up the next morning at like literally like 5:30, left my house, went straight through, went for like this 40-kilometer like mountain bike, and then got back and saw your message, and I was like, oh my gosh, I'm so dumb. Like, and completely fucked, because usually I'll put it in my like calendar for reminders, and then I'll get like a reminder notification. And yeah, that's my fault. I take full responsibility. Sorry, boys.
Nah, that's fine. The week before that, we had to reschedule on you. So this chat has been a long time coming. So I'm glad we finally got to.
I almost had to do this chat with sunnies on, because if you can check with my eye, I don't know if you can see.
Oh yeah.
It's I've been filming or shooting this like short film with my mates who's studying film at the moment, and we went diving the other day, and bro, I flipping went under this little cave. And, well, it's like not little, but like 10 meters under, and my whole eye just popped, and I popped this blood vessel, and it looks pretty ruthless. It looks a lot worse than it actually is, but it's been funny. I've been getting a lot more waves in the water because everyone's like too scared of me. They just look at me like, oh, what's going on with this guy?
Yeah, fair. So, it's kind of like a half off season for you right now, right? It's pretty rare that you get such a long break in this kind of line of work.
It's pretty weird. Like, I don't think I've ever had like this long of a break in kind of a season. Like, it's always been at the end of a season, and then you kind of have a like couple months break and then a start of a season. But it's weird because this is like still in season. Technically, it's just a break. So it's pretty weird having like 3 months off, especially like at this time in the season, because it's like the last 2 events like are like pretty important. So it's kind of weird, but I've kind of taken like more of a positive look at it. Like, you can take like all my mates and everyone's like, oh, isn't it weird? Like, you've got all this momentum and then like the year just kind of stops and then 3 months off and then it starts again. But I've kind of taken more of like a positive look and tried to kind of go like, okay, well, I've got 3 months to kind of like fully reset, like assess my body, like assess where I'm at, and like fully improve, and like try to focus on all these little like 1% and improving those. So when I do get to like the next year, when the season kind of carries on in Jan and then going at Pipe and then going into Newcastle, I've like improved on a lot of little areas that you kind of don't really have the time to improve on when you're like in the middle of a season, which is pretty cool. Like, I've been able to like stay at home and with my trainer kind of go through like 2 or 3 programs, which has been sick, to like actually like kind of warp my body into like what I want it to be, which is pretty sick, which is usually I don't have the time to do, because it's like I'll be at an event, be home for like a couple weeks and do like as much training as I can, and then go to another event and then come back and kind of like pick up where we left off. So it's been pretty cool to have that. And then also at the same time, it's just been nice to like be at home and just have time to kind of like relax and be at home. I've pretty much been like at home for like 2 months this year, throughout the year, so like total. So it's nice to actually like sit down and breathe a bit and kind of relax and just surf and hang with your mates.
So is there any Christmas beers or no Christmas beers?
It might be some Christmas beers. Yeah, I've kind of been off the tins for the moment. I kind of came back and had a couple weeks or like a week or whatever, and then kind of been taking it easy and pretty mellows. But we actually have like a big Christmas with like me, like my family and a couple of my mates' families, and we all join up, and we almost like turns into like a Christmas house party in a sense. So I'm not planning on having beers. I'm pretty off them at the moment. But if there is a chance that I will have beers, it's probably there. It's pretty hard not to.
Fair enough.
Now we'll just go straight into it, Luke. We haven't done this question before to any of our guests, but Zach thought of it this week and we thought it'd be a good one, hoping to catch some people out at some stage. What is the last song you listened to? We can tell a lot about someone's character from the music they like. What have you listened to recently?
That's interesting. I was actually like, probably, I've got it on my phone. Yeah, I was actually listening to music like probably like 5 minutes ago when I got into the shower. It's a song.
You can't pick and choose. It has to be the very last song you played.
Like, it's still playing. It's a song called Juno Love by Nico Morana. But before that, I was listening to a bit of rap. So it's actually a funny contrast, because that's not a rap song.
Yeah, right. What is that? Is it like a love song or something?
It's kind of like a mix, like a house techno song. I don't know. It's a pretty sick song. I dig it.
Oh,
Gets me pumped up. But it's actually been funny, because that's not what I've been listening to lately. I've been full on like an old school, like crazy old school trend. Even on my like Spotify rap, my age is like, I think like somewhere close to 80. So that's pretty like reverse compared to that.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah, right.
I like it. So growing up in South Africa, Finley, you haven't been there. I haven't been there. But the internet tells us that it's a pretty scary place at times. It says don't go out at night, don't go into certain areas, don't wear jewelry because you might get robbed. Is this all true, or is it one of those places where you go to and you go, hang on a minute, it's kind of not what the internet set it out to be like?
I reckon parts of it are true. Like, I think, I mean, for me, like I feel super safe here. Like I don't feel unsafe at all. And yeah, like there is areas that are unsafe. But I mean, I feel like there's kind of areas like that all throughout the world. But if I like had to put into like, this is kind of my perspective on it. Like everywhere I've traveled through surfing and like through whatever throughout my life, like wherever I've gone, I've always come back to where I'm living now, Cape Town, which I feel like is almost like the best place in South Africa. I've always come back and kind of thought like, wow, there's no place that's kind of like this. Like it's one of the most beautiful places I've been to. And for me, I really don't worry about the safety of it, but you just kind of got to be like vigilant and kind of aware of like your surroundings. Like, I mean, like I've never been into like in a bad place where I've been, or a bad position where I've been robbed or something like that. Like, but yeah, I think it's overplayed. I definitely, to cut it short, I think it's definitely overplayed. I don't think it's as dangerous and as sketchy as people make it sound. But yeah, you just got to be aware. But no, it's pretty cool. Yeah, eh? Like where I live, it's pretty unreal. Like you'd think you're like somewhere in Monaco or something like that, and it's just somewhere in South Africa where you're paying like $10 for a meal, which is pretty sick, instead of like a couple hundred.
Yeah, no, for sure. So obviously growing up in South Africa, who were your early influences in surfing?
Yeah, I mean, definitely like the biggest one is probably Jordy. He's always been like quite a massive influence for me. I've ridden his dad's board since I was like probably like 10 years old. I think the second board I ever got was his dad's board. I got my first board was this like hand-me-down board that my parents bought for me off like Gumtree or something, which is like a South African website for buying stuff. I don't know if you guys have it, but and I just surfed that board until it wasn't even a surfboard. It was like pretty much like the rails were like delaminated and like the board like wasn't even anything. And then like did a comp or two, and then it was like, yeah, I sucked at surfing. And Jordy's dad got me a board. He was like, oh, I want to make you a board. I want to get you a board. And he made me a board. And it was funny because like I look at like how my perspectives have changed from like then to now. But it's like when I first started surfing, like my absolute ultimate, like biggest dream, like biggest, like the biggest I could imagine I could have received from surfing was getting a custom surfboard. For me, that was like my like be all end all. That was like, oh fuck, if I can get a custom surfboard, that'll be the sickest thing ever. And then anyway, I got a custom board from him, and he made me a board, and pretty much the same scenario. I surfed that board until it couldn't get surfed anymore. And that's kind of started my career. And then, yeah, ever since then, it's just been pretty much, yeah, go. But he's really helped me, and Jordy's been a big influence for me, especially these last couple of years. I've gotten a lot closer with him, and he's really kind of taken me under his wing and helped me out a lot. But there's also a couple guys, like a couple underground guys. When I first grew up, I lived on the beach run and I was homeschooled, so all my mates kind of were at school, and there was a couple guys a lot older than me, that had a really good influence on me, and Dave Van Zyl was definitely one of those. I don't know if you guys have ever heard of him. He's like an underground, or not really an underground surfer from South Africa, but he's probably one of the best surfers to ever come out of South Africa. And like he never did tour or anything. I think he did comps for like a couple years and then kind of got over it. But he's a really talented surfer. But for me, kind of the biggest impact he had on me is he's probably one of the nicest guys like you could ever meet. And I always just remember seeing guys in the water that were being like kind of like egoed out and a bit obnoxious, and then seeing him, who was like one of those legends who was like pushing people into waves and giving people waves and just being kind. And that's kind of been the thing that for me that has always stuck with me. Like I always try kind of keep that mindset when I go into the water. Like I don't really enjoy surfing with the crowds because I don't like hustling people or like anything like that. And I think I've maybe like how would I say it, and like I've maybe gone off at like 2 or 3 people in the water, but like I wouldn't even say gone off at them, just kind of like told them off. But straight after, I've apologized to them because I felt too bad. So like that's kind of like I remember I had this QS in Morocco once, and I had like an altercation with the guy in the free surf in the morning, and I think he was kind of tripping because straight after the altercation, I paddled up to him and I was like, oh, I'm so sorry, like I'm grumpy. It's the morning, you know, these few surfs. Oh, I'm so sorry. Like I hope you have a good day or whatever. And you could see it was kind of like, oh, what's going on here? Because this guy, like, we just had an altercation. Now he's like paddling up to me and like fully switching. But yeah, that's kind of, I don't know, where I've kind of gotten my roots from.
Yeah. What about the Grom pack? Because when everyone's a Grom, everyone has their like little squad that they go surfing with. Have you got one of those growing up? Like, was there anyone who kind of pushed you in that kind of space, like, or a little healthy competition rivalry?
Yeah,
grommet?
definitely. I had quite a cool group. I grew up in Durban, so I live in Cape Town now, but I grew up in Durban, and that's kind of like been for a lot of for the last like maybe like 2 decades or 3 decades been like the surf mecca of South Africa. That's where kind of the most of the best surfers have come from. That's where Jordy came from. That's where Sean Thompson came from. That's where like Martin Potter came from. That's where like all the good surfers came from. And I kind of started surfing a bit late. I only started surfing when I was like 10. So I got into it pretty late and that kind of was like out of the crowd a bit. But I definitely got accepted by like quite a cool group of people. Like, some of my good mates, like, I mean, James Ribbink, he's probably like a good example. Like him and I are the same age and he's, his dad's like quite a legend in the surf industry. And, he's pushed me a lot. He was always a lot better than I was when we were young. So I always just wanted to be as good as him. So I definitely put in the hours. But yeah, we had quite a cool group of mates who we all like surfed every afternoon after they finished school. And it was definitely like a kind of more like that healthy rivalry. And then in the more recent years, since I've moved to Cape Town, I've kind of gotten super close with like Luke Sipin and Connor Sipin. They're two brothers from Cape Town. Luke and Connor are really good surfers. And we've kind of kept that going and we really, really push each other. It's actually been weird since I got home because both of them have gotten injured now and have been out for like 3 weeks. So I've just been surfing by myself for like 3 weeks, which has been pretty weird. I haven't done that in like years, not gone missioning with them. But yeah, I think for me, they've been like my biggest help in my career in terms of like rivalry and pushing me in the water. They're super talented and they're like really, really good surfers. And whenever I surf, especially in Cape Town, I get pretty frustrated because they're always surfing so good. I'm like, oh, how are you guys doing this? But yeah, I've definitely had like a lot of groups of like that healthy rivalry, but I feel like I haven't had one group throughout my whole life. I've had like different groups in different sections.
Yeah, for sure. We had another question here. Rugby, soccer and cricket, big three in South Africa. With your family, like surfing probably doesn't have the money that you can earn from those sports. You going into a career in professional sports, were your family happy with that decision or would they prefer you to go down the rugby or soccer route?
So like, it's quite funny. No one in my family is really like a sporty person. So I was kind of like the first person who actually like got into sports. I remember when I first started surfing, I mean, my mom's like the coolest person ever, but when I first started surfing, I said to my mom, I was like, look, mom, like, this is what I want to do. But if you ever become a soccer mom, like, I'm not going to surf. I'm going to stop surfing. And she's taken that in good stride and never become one of those. But no, they always supported me from the start. Yeah, like my mom been super supportive from the start. Like she did everything she could for me in my career and like still to this day does. And like I'm extremely grateful for that. I definitely wouldn't be like anywhere close to where I am if it wasn't for her. And yeah, they've always been supportive of me since the start. But like I said, I mean, I've been homeschooled from when I started school. So those kind of sports never really were like an opportunity for me. Like I'm sure if I went to school, I probably would have gotten into like rugby or cricket or soccer or one of those. And then, I mean, who knows if I would have ever surfed if I would have just stayed in one of those sports. But my hand-eye coordination is absolutely terrible. So when it comes to catching balls or anything like that, I reckon I definitely wouldn't have been successful in any of those sports. But yeah.
No, it seems like you picked the right one anyway. Was there ever a time when you thought about quitting surfing or taking a different path?
Actually, funny enough, yeah, there kind of was like when I was like 17, maybe 17 is actually something I haven't really spoken about much. But when I was like, yeah, I think 17, turning 18, somewhere around there, I went through some like mental health problems and struggles, and I didn't surf for like maybe like 2 months, 3 months, just as I was going through all these things, and kind of lost like a little bit of drive and joy for it. But then after that, I got back into it, and like it was probably one of like the most like rejuvenating things ever. Like I feel like a kid now. Like all I want to do is just surf as much as I can when I can. Like just froth for it so hard. Like kind of the feeling you get when you stand up on a board for your first time. And ever since then, I've kind of had that. But Yeah, there was a time, like kind of when I was going through all of that, there was a time when I was competing and I kind of wanted to stop competing and was kind of over it and didn't really want to do it and just wanted to take some time to kind of like focus on me and focus on myself. And I kind of, when I ground myself again, get back into it. And it was funny enough, I was actually going to Worlds at the time, and straight after Worlds was coming back. And then there was like, I was still young, I wasn't on the challenges or anything, but there was the Ballito Pro and then J-Bay after that. And I went to Worlds kind of just going like, oh, like I'm not too into it, but like I'm here, I might as well just try and like see what happens, you know. And ended up the comp ended up starting and like ended up getting super into it and like got like super like, I don't know, just super locked in and was really enjoying it. Had a good group of people around me, and ended up getting third in that event. And like to that date was like my best result in my career, and was like, yeah, pretty special for me, like super emotional. And then went straight from there to Ballito and got second in the trials and got into the main event, and then got like a round of 16 or something in the main event, and got into J-Bay because I was the highest ranked South African on the ranks, and got into J-Bay, and then went to J-Bay and served to J-Bay against like Jack Robber and Italo and like the Kaloa and like the best surfers in the world. And after that, I was like, oh my gosh, like I can't imagine myself ever doing anything else in this world. Like I just love this too much. I was like, just like, yeah, it was like a really, really like crucial highlight moment for me in my career. But it's just funny how like a week before I went to Worlds, I was like kind of stuck in two minds of going like, I kind of don't really want to compete and I want to take a break for a while, to going after Worlds to Ballito to J-Bay and looking at it going like, I never want to do anything else. Like this is kind of it for me. Like this is really what I enjoy and like where I get my happiness from. But yeah, it's pretty crazy how life can kind of work like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a pretty crazy story. Obviously mental health for young guys is quite prominent, especially here in Oz. I'm sure it is there. What was the thing that pulled you out of that mental state? Because unfortunately a lot don't get out of it. What was the takeaway from that? What kind of pulled you back to reality?
Like it was kind of weird because when, I mean, stuff like that happens, you kind of don't really understand what's going on. It's like it's like super weird and like kind of unfamiliar. Like when you have shit like that going on in your mind, your brain, and like it's stuff you're feeling you don't really understand. But I was like very open about it from when I first started struggling. Like told my mom, and then as soon as I told my mom, kind of just started working with people and like explaining my situation to people like psychologists and kind of doctors and stuff, and that really helped me, is being completely honest about it. And I think that's the sad part, is I think a lot of people don't feel like they can be honest about it. They feel like it's kind of like something that they have to keep to themselves. And I think when you do that, that's when like the real problems start. I mean, if you're honest and like you're struggling with stuff and you open about it, then that's when you like can start to work on the actual things you're struggling with and like break it down and understand it. But when you don't talk to people and you don't express it and you don't let it out and you don't let these emotions out, you don't speak about them, you don't understand them. So it's just like so like uncomfortable and like unfamiliar for you. And that for me was the biggest thing, was being open about it and being able to express it and talk about it. And I think that's the unfortunate thing, is I feel like a lot of people don't feel like they can do that. And if for me, the biggest thing I can like say that helped me was being honest and being open about it. And I reckon that's like the biggest thing that needs to go into the world, because I think a lot of people don't want to talk about it, and they feel like it's like this illness, this weird thing that they shouldn't speak about, and this like unnatural thing, where it's like nowadays it's like, unfortunately, it's super common to go through like struggles like that. But I think the same thing that separates it is the people that are able to express it and talk about it and be open about it and be like willing to improve and understand it, than the people that feel like they can't express themselves and talk about it and like, yeah, kind of work through it.
Yeah, well, good on you for being able to pull yourself out of that, because like I said, unfortunately, a lot don't. And I'm sure you're glad you did, because 2022, you're awarded the wild card that you spoke about into the J-Bay event. Me and Finley have never been quite able to get our hands onto a wild card, so we wouldn't know how the fuck that would feel. So what was it like for you when you get the call up going, brother, you're coming into one of the best events in your country?
It was pretty crazy. For me, I thought there wasn't a wildcard opportunity. So for me in Ballito, I was just like surfing the comp and just literally like just enjoying it and trying to make heats and whatever. And just having fun making heats. Like I was super kind of just, in that point in my life, I was like really emphasizing on like just enjoying it. And I was really just enjoying it. And that like, yeah, wasn't even a thought in the back of my mind. I was going into the event thinking the wild card had already been given away. So I was there and I was surfing and whatever. And I was like enjoying it. And then I remember the day like it was yesterday. I surfed like around I think at the time it was around a 24 heat or something. It was like the 3-man round 3 heat or something. And I made that heat. And there was another South African in that round and he lost his heat. And I knew when I made that heat, I was the highest ranked South African. But like I said, I didn't think J-Bay was like a thing on the card. And I went home and I was at home and all of a sudden like my mom started messaging me and like a couple of people started messaging me saying like, you need to go to the booth right now. Like you need to go to the booth, like the commentary booth. And then the guy at the time, Brad Bricknell, who was working in the booth, he was like messaging me saying like, come to the booth now. We want to have you for the next heat. And I was kind of like, okay, why is everyone rushing me? I just gotten out of the heat. Like, let me just breathe a bit. And then I went down and I went into the booth and he was interviewing me and like there was an ad break. And then he said like, hey, well, Luke, like, I feel pretty fortunate to be the one to be able to give you this news, but we've just heard from Travis Logie that you're getting the wild card into the J-Bay Open this year. And I remember just like sitting there and going like, no, this can't be real. And like I remember you can actually see if you like replay it. I'm like, what? No, like really? And he's like, yeah, you're in the J-Bay Open. And I remember just like kind of freaking out. And then it didn't really settle in. And then I got out of the booth and I walked out and like all my mates were there. And it's quite cool because that's where I grew up. So like all my closest friends are there and everyone was like, oh, you're in. And yeah, that was like super, super special moment for me and like pretty crazy feeling. And like still to this day, it's probably one of the best feelings I've ever had in surfing. Like I feel like for any surfer that's like kind of gotten like a wild card into CT or like competed in the CT, they like understand that, or any sportsman who's ever kind of like done something that where they like get a debut on like another level above what they're on. It's like such a special feeling and such a like internally like grateful feeling where you know like, oh, flip, like all this work, all this time, all this effort's been paying off. And yeah, it was a wild moment for me. I just remember like kind of not believing it and then settling in. I was like walking up the stairs, like almost crying, like freaking out. But yeah, it was a special moment for me. I mean, especially like with the time and like all the stuff kind of going on, like to have that, it was like pretty special. And still to this day, it'll be like one of the most special moments in surfing.
Yeah, that's amazing, mate. And I do want to get into that event because like we sort of touched on, you were pretty freshly 18 and you didn't just show up to this event. You actually came in and blew up from the get-go. You had Kolohe and Jack Robbo first heat. Jack put up 15.17 and you only lost to him by 0.4 in that heat. So you had 14.77. So I think you had about like a 7 and a 7.77. Even though you lost, like knowing that you can put up near excellent scores in a CT event, did that give you a lot of confidence coming out of that? Yeah,
definitely. I think for every surfer, when they get into a CT for the first time, that's kind of their biggest question is like, how will they compare against those guys? And for me, I've always loved J-Bay. It's been one of my favorite places in the world to go to. So that was like a special event for me. And that was like also the thing for me. I wasn't really focusing too much on the outcome. I was kind of just focusing on the performance. And that was a big thing for me. I just wanted to open up and try to showcase my surfing. And that heat itself, I was like super nervous that morning. Like you'd think you're not really nervous, but it's hard to not get nervous. I was like super nervous rocking up, like was like shaking, kind of went home, chilled a bit, and then came back and I was like all fired up. The waves were firing. It was like 4 to 6 foot J-Bay, like as perfect as what it gets. And yeah, I kind of just went out, like fell on my first wave, I think, but I had an all right wave and then opened up on my second wave and was like, oh, this feels pretty cool. And like, it was funny because I got there a day before the event started. I got there the first day of the waiting period because of Ballito and J-Bay. The times for the waiting periods were super close together. So I flew there straight from Ballito and then got there the day the waiting period started, but the waves are pretty bad. Surfed like 2 foot supers, 3 foot supers, and it's not very good when it's that small. And then the next day was like firing and we got put into a rashi. So I like rode a board once and then was like, okay, I'm going to ride in my heat. This thing feels nice, whatever. And yeah, so there was like a lot of like, it wasn't like kind of a lot of good things going in like succession. Like I wasn't getting the best waves and free surf, feeling the best, and kind of just went out and wanted to just surf. And yeah, that heat was super sick. Like it was to surf against Jack and Kolohe, like two of like some of my favorite surfers. And Jack at the time was like, I mean, still is, but it was like this just ruthless competitor, like completely like just unbeatable. And it was pretty cool. Like the opening exchange happened, and I think he got the better of me. He got like a 7 or something, and I got like a 6. And then we all paddled back out, and then I got a 7, and he got like, I can't remember what his next score was, but he got like a backup score, and I was in second, and then I was in third prior, and I actually got a good wave under him and Kaloe, and ended up getting like a 7-7-7 or something, and went into first and like paddled out, and I was like, oh, this feels good, like getting a 7-7 under priority. And I got out there, and there was like 8 minutes left or whatever, and Jack had prior, and I just remember thinking to myself, like, there's no way he's not getting the score. I know he's getting the score eventually in this heat. I just hope he gets a score and it's in a set where it gives me a chance to like better him or get another wave where I can try better my situation. And I just knew, like, I had this, like, it wasn't like a question or anything. I just knew he was getting the score. And sure as you've been like 2 minutes left or 1 minute left, I take off on the first wave of the set, and the second wave of the set's just a perfect wave, and I just see Jack coming through. I'm like on the inside duck diving, and I just see him sitting in this perfect barrel, and I'm like, oh, and the barrel like touched his back, and I remember thinking, oh, he fell. And then I just remember duck diving, hearing the crowd go like absolutely wild. I was like, oh no, he got the score. But yeah, like I said, for me, it wasn't really like the outcome for me in that heat. Like, it would have been super cool to win the heat, but it was just cool to be able to perform and like surf and kind of like try give those guys a run for their money. So yeah, I definitely took a lot of confidence out of that heat and going into like the rest of the year, and even till now, that's one of the things, if I'm ever lacking confidence, like it's one of the moments I'll go back to.
Yeah.
Did you ever try and fuck with him out there in the surf? Like, oh, I wouldn't go the first one. The first one's always shit here, or anything like that? Like getting his ear?
It's actually a funny story. I think at the time he was pretty into his breathing and Wim Hof and stuff. And we were sitting out there, and he was doing, I think it was Wim Hof. I don't know. It was a breathing technique, and it obviously works. Still to this day, it obviously works because he's an absolute beast. But I think he was doing some breathing techniques out there. So when I got a wave under priority and got the score and went into first, I paddled out and I sat in front of him, and I just started going like trying to do the breathing techniques as well, even though I didn't really know what I was doing. But yeah, I definitely got calmer because he just smoked me on his next wave. But yeah, it was fun to like just kind of play around. But yeah, at the time, I mean, I don't really try to fuck with guys in heat, so I was kind of just doing my own thing. But it was pretty funny, yeah, doing that.
Absolutely. And like I say, you didn't just show up, like you said you wanted to perform well, and you did exactly that. You obviously put up those big scores. You comboed Kalohe for third, and then you go into the elimination round against Italo, who's like been on a tear for the last however many years on tour. Like, he's always a hard person to beat no matter where in the world you're surfing against him. You do end up losing against him in that round, but you still put up nearly 12 points, and he only had, I think, 13. I think you had just under 12. Did this make you really hungry to get back there?
Yeah, definitely. I think for me, that was like quite a monumental moment, especially surfing against Italo, because he's like such an animal. Like, you just know whenever you serve against him, you're gonna have to pretty much like drop near perfection to beat him. And I actually, like, I didn't have a great heat. Like, I fell on quite a few waves, and like my wave selection wasn't that great. And like I didn't have a great heat, and I still was almost like kind of close. So for me, that was like pretty cool. To kind of, like, I thought like, okay, well, like if I do get everything together, then like I should be able to compete against these guys. So yeah, that was a definitely like a big confidence builder, and like he was super cool. Like, it's like came out to me after the heat, and he was like, "Well done, Brew. Like, you ripping. Like, keep it up." And like even just that, like having that moment with like an idol, like someone that you always look up to, is pretty cool. Like, it definitely just fires you up. But like that's one thing I will say about all the CT competitors from my experience. Like I've gotten 2 wildcard spots like into J-Bay this year, and then obviously then, and they all were like extremely welcoming and extremely cool, and like you didn't feel like you were in an uncomfortable place and like an uncomfortable territory. Like, all of them are super nice to you. We're super cool in the locker rooms. Like, they're all just such legends, and like definitely makes you, like, it leaves a stamp, and it makes you want to be like that if you get to that level. They're all super humble and super cool guys.
Yeah,
I don't know about you, but if I was in the elimination round and I just lost, my mind would be like, what am I going to spend my money on? Is that you? Like, were you just like, oh shit, it's payday?
Yeah, I mean, for me, that was like the biggest, it was definitely at the time, it was the biggest payday I'd had from surfing. I was still in my like amateurs, like the pro junior and stuff where the prize money is a lot less. But yeah, it was pretty cool. Like that was like also all my friends. They were like, oh, we're going out after this, drinks on you. But yeah, I actually like, I kind of blew through the money pretty quickly. I wasn't as smart as I should have been with it. Like, I think for me, it was like, I'd never been in a position where I'd like had a payday like that. So it's pretty cool to like kind of get a bit of a lump sum, like, like I started going on a couple of surf trips and stuff. And then like, before I know it, like it was like almost done. I was like, oh, okay, no, I need to lock back in. But it definitely helped a lot. Like throughout that year, I did quite a few trips that I wouldn't have been able to do if it wasn't for that comp and that little lump sum of money. But this time around, when I got back in, I was like, okay, regardless of how I do, I'm going to put away a certain amount of money, invest it, be clever with it. So I think you need that kind of like correlation. The first time you have it and you're just like, oh, it's so sick, just blow through it. And then the next time when you're like, okay, let me be a bit smarter. But yeah, I definitely spent quite a bit of it on that, a little portion of it that night out.
No, I think that's money well spent. And like they say, it's an unteachable lesson. You can't, not dabble in something superficial before learning the lesson of investing and things like that. So I would have done the same, probably would have spent it way worse than you did. So
yeah, you go from that though, Luke. You then have finishes of 65th, 32nd, and 66 on the Challenger Series. Up until this year, obviously, that's got to be frustrating for you after seeing what you can do on the biggest stage. What clicked this year, though, do you think, heading into 2025?
Yeah, I mean, it definitely is pretty frustrating when you're getting those results and like if your surfing's feeling pretty good. But for me, I always kind of thought like I've always tried to like detach my like value of my surfing and like like my own value apart from like my results and my like competition, because I feel like then like it's very determined on how you're doing. And even though I was finishing lower on the ranks those years, like getting like 65th or whatever, like even though I was finishing those ranks, I felt like I was learning stuff and improving. And even though if it didn't look like it on the results, like personally it felt like it. So for me, like I never lost any belief or like any kind of like a lack of confidence or anything. It was just a matter of like when the time was right and when I learned everything enough to like put it all together. And to be honest, like not much changed this year. I've kind of always had the mindset of like just trying to always be consistently improving. And especially when I went into this year, that was like a big thing for me. I think the only thing that was kind of big for me this year is on the off time I had, like I didn't go to Brazil last year. I canned Brazil and then went to Germany to surf in the wave pool and then came home and just kind of went straight back into my like program and training and put a lot of effort into everything. Like gave 110% to my coach, gave 110% to my trainer, to my like sports mental performance coach, gave like everything I could to him, like to my equipment, my boards, kind of like that was like my thing. I just want to put as much effort in as I can. And even if I don't get a result, I know I'm putting effort in. So that's the most important thing for me. And then, yeah, like went into Newcastle and was feeling really good. Like felt my surfing felt amazing and like felt super good. And then like lost first heat and I was like, oh, this is not again. But yeah, I think for me also a massive thing like mentally that changed for me is I've like the last couple of years I've looked at myself as like kind of like an underdog, and like whenever I've like won heats against like big players or big surfers or like stacked heats, I've kind of been like, oh, like it's sick, like the underdog's winning the heat. And this year I kind of went into the year and I was like, yeah, like I'm definitely still an underdog, but I've got the experience. Like this is my third year on the Challenger Series. Like I'm gonna stop treating myself as like an underdog. I want to actually like like I'm more of a like I've been here for 3 years. Like I understand this. I've learned a lot. Like I want to implement everything I've learned. And I feel like around the Challenger Series, the South Africans all give each other advice. And I'm always like, I personally, I feel like I'm quite good at giving advice. And I just kind of started going like, okay, well, like you're pretty good at giving your mates like coaching advice and whatever. Like it's time you start being able to coach yourself and like actually give yourself advice and learn from this stuff. And so I just kind of started implementing everything I'd learned and like little situations that I had previously that I was like with competing, like implementing that into like the current situation. Um, but yeah, I think for me, it's just like 1%. It's like if I had to like put it in, it's just kind of 1% changed. Like it's like 1% makes 99% of the difference. And that's been my kind of motto, is like just focusing on all the 1% and improving those.
Yeah. And then we arrive at Ballito, fresh off, like you just touched on, a 33rd in the season opener at Newcastle. You've touched on this already. You've got a pretty good relationship with this wave. You've had some decent results there, and you progressed through the early rounds quite easily. You hit the man-on-man rounds. You take down Matthias Hurdy, Eli Hanneman, and Oscar Berry, and they're all currently inside the top 7 on the Challenger Series with you. And then you come up against George Kittar in the final. Talk us through this one, because it looked like a complete shit fight out there in that final.
Yeah, geez, that final was pretty crazy. Like, I think we both kind of had the expectation of going like, okay, we got to get 8s to win this comp. Like, we got to get 8s to win. Like, you got to have like, I'm looking at like, I mean, I know for me that was what I was looking at. I was like, I'm going 14 points plus. Like, and then I remember my coach saying like, just relax, and like, just kind of do what you need to do, carry on doing what you're doing, just like keep it, just keep it easy. Like, don't complicate it for yourself. And like, I was just pretty fired up to be in the final. And like, I'd been super relaxed and super calm, like the whole comp. And even going into the final, I was still calm, but I think internally I was like quite fired up. Like I wanted to like, kind of like, I knew that I was going to need more than what I've been doing to win. And then I think when we went into the final, the tide was pushing. It was like almost high tide, and it was a building swell. And when Ballito has that wind, it was like a southwest wind. And when it's that wind, a building swell and peaking towards high tide, it gets super bumpy and warbly. So like you'll take off on a wave and like a lip will all of a sudden just like kind of like come out of nowhere. And like it's pretty tricky. And we paddled out for that final, and it had changed a lot since both of our semifinals. And I think that in itself was a bit weird. Like it felt like, I mean, I was like on like a round pin, and it felt like I was almost under gun, like I could have been on a step up. And I think we both kind of ended up just like being out of the mix of it, and like not like we were just out of rhythm with the ocean. And it kind of became a little bit of a dogfight. And I just remember saying to myself, like when there was 3 minutes left to go, I remember hearing the commentator saying like, oh, you need a 3 or like a 3.5 or something. I just remember thinking to myself going, there's no possible way I'm losing this final needing a 3.8. Like, there's no way. Like, I'm not letting this happen. Like, I don't care if I just have to get the score. If he gets like a 7 and he wins, then it's fine. But I'm not losing needing like a 3.8. Like, there's no way. And I just gunned down the beach. And the day before in the quarters, Eli was getting lefts like a little bit further down the beach. And they weren't like crazy waves, but they were kind of like under priority waves. Like you could have gotten like a 4 or 5 on them. And I remember paddling down the beach and seeing one left come through that I actually paddled for and didn't go on, which was, I think it was actually better than the wave I got to score on. But I didn't go on it. And then I was like, okay, well, there's actually a little left here. And then after that, I was paddling and I was looking at this wave, and it was kind of a right. And I was looking at it, but it had been going that whole week, that right had been going into this deep spot. And I looked at the left, and I knew the left was going to go into the shallower section, and it was going higher. So I was like, okay, let me just try this. Let's just do this. And it's funny enough, because the whole trip, like when I tell you the whole trip, I don't think I'd gotten over a 4 on a left. Free surfs, comps, like whatever. And I'd surfed like 2 comps before that. Like my backhand was feeling terrible. And like, sure as that, you take off and like you win the comp on the left. But yeah, I took off on that wave and like did 2 snaps and then kind of like warbled out, and then I kicked off and I was like, okay, well, I think that should be like a 4. That should be the score. And I just remember paddling out. There was like 2 minutes or 1 minute left, and I was just dead. My energy was just completely depleted. I was just so dead from that whole day, that whole week. And I just remember my like energy was just capping. Like I was paddling as hard as I could. My coach was whistling, just like screaming, like telling me to paddle, and I just didn't have much left. And I was like, and I saw George get a wave and fall, and I was like, I have to try to get priority. And I was just getting smoked. I was in the impact zone. And then I paddled over a wave, and there was 20 seconds left, and I saw him like kind of paddling over a wave. And then I paddled over the next wave, and there was 10 seconds left, and there was just nothing. And I was like, there's no way. Like, it's like, oh, there's no way. And, in 5, 4, 3, and then he didn't catch a wave. And then a countdown. And I was just like, oh my gosh, this is crazy. Like for me, it was just unreal. Like it was like a fairy tale. The whole week, I was just telling myself, I was like especially once I got into like the quarters and the semis, I was like, surely not. It's like too good to be true. Like a South African winning this event, like here in Ballito, like it just feels like too good to be true. And like it was just weird, but like everything had just been going, like everything was going right. Like I've been having good free surfs. I've been like kind of waves had just been coming to me in the free surfs. Like I was just feeling super comfortable, like super content. And it just like, everything kind of led to that moment. Like, it definitely wasn't the way I'd like to have won. Like I mean, obviously you want to win with like 2 9s and whatever, and 2 8s, like higher heat totals. But it was just, for me, it was super special to have something like that. Like I've always felt like kind of like if everything aligned and like if everything started going right, I felt like I was good enough to win these events. And for that to like finally start happening and like going right, it was like super crucial for me. And like that place, like in Ballito, kind of where I grew up surfing, or like 20 minutes from where I grew up surfing, like that was like, it's always been like such a special place for me, and I've always felt connected with that wave. And to win that event was just like, it was just unreal. Like I can't really put into words like how much it meant for me, but it was just super special. Like I actually came in from that semi, and I came from the semi and I got to the beach and like it was so packed. It was just like so many people on the beach, so many people like in the stands, and I walked up on the beach and the whole beach just erupted, like, and just freaked out. Like the whole beach just started cheering and shouting and like going mad for me. The stands were like, and the VIP stands were like almost like shaking. And I just was like freaking out. And I was doing the interview whilst this was all happening. And the guy, Mike, who was doing the interview, was like, Luke, like you won your first pro junior here when like back in, I think it was like, I don't know, like 2017 or 20, or something way back then. But it was actually my second pro junior, but he was like, you won then. And like, here you are, like 5 years later or 6 years later or whatever, in the final of the comp. I think it was like 2019, but he was like in the final of the Ballito Pro. And as soon as he said that, like my whole guard just got let down, and I had glasses on and I just started tearing up, and I was just like, oh, this is like unreal. And that's when I kind of let out like by most emotion. And that's for me when like it kind of everything like settled in, because you're always so like focused and so locked in. Like you see a lot of the guys like when they win the comps and like win the Challenger Series events, like you can tell they knew they were going to kind of win the comp from the quarters, or they felt like they were going to win the comp from the quarters onwards, and they're just so focused. And like you can ask them like after, and they say like, no, like there was all these little things like leading me to that like victory. It's not always like a surprise. It's not you feel it, like you can kind of feel it coming. And for me, I was just so focused, and that was like the first time I allowed myself to like be vulnerable the whole week, and I kind of let my guard down. And I just walked up and I just put a towel over my head and just sat, and just like it was just like feeling everything. It was just going, oh my gosh, this is like unreal. Like I can't believe like this is actually happening. And then I kind of just was like, okay, snap out of it. You got another heat. You got to focus. And then and then went into the final, and then then that happened, and then I had to like pretty much like. Everything happened in like what felt like 2 minutes. Like came to the beach, got carried at the beach, did the interview, did the prize giving, and then left and went straight to the airport. Literally, like ran home, got my stuff, and went straight to the airport to go to J-Bay because there was a swell, and I wanted to get the swell. And everyone was like, just leave it, just cancel your flight, just cancel your flight. You have to come out with us tonight. You have to celebrate. And I was like, look, I want to go get J-Bay tomorrow. So it's actually pretty funny. Like I didn't even like party or celebrate or anything. Like literally just went straight from prize giving, went home, pretty much like took my rashie off, took my wetsuit off, put shorts on, grabbed my bags and left. And went to J-Bay, and Joel Vaughan and his dad, they were there at the time, and they grabbed me and they took me for dinner, and we had like 2 beers and spoke about it, and kind of like just like spoke about the day, and they were so cool and so meta, and they paid for my dinner and took me out for dinner, which was super nice. And and then we woke up the next morning and got like firing J-Bay the whole day, and it was pretty sick. And like paddled out, it was cool. Like all the CT guys were there, and they were all like saying well done to me, and it was like it just felt like it was crazy. It felt like something like just out of this world. Like I I woke up that day and before I went surfing, like I felt like it all kind of settled in, and I was just sitting in my hotel room, just like crying, like just like all my emotions were coming out. I was just like crying. Um, but yeah, that event for me, it's definitely like it'll be hard to top that. Like the only thing that could really top that for me is winning J-Bay. But other than that, like to win an event of like that caliber in South Africa, it was just so special for me. And the only thing that could top that is like, yeah, winning an event in J-Bay or like a world title or something.
Yeah, fair enough. And for people who haven't seen it, it was well documented on your YouTube series. I think that was a great episode. I dabbled in that one. And you're right, you can definitely see the vulnerability come through, and it's an honest behind the scenes look at that. And so if anyone hasn't seen it, I do suggest go and watch that one. But straight into J-Bay, you've been here before. Was there like a moment where you're like, yeah, I know what to do here on the next time round? And you obviously get a wild card this year. Did it feel a bit easier this time around?
Well, yeah, I definitely felt like I knew what to expect, like going into it, like having been there before. I kind of knew like what would like come my way and how to navigate it a bit more. And like my motto in Ballito and in J-Bay was kind of like, yeah, like I've been in this situation before, like I've been in this position before, and like even if it wasn't in like that same place, like in a CT rash fest or whatever, like I felt like every kind of thing that I would get faced with in Ballito or J-Bay is something that I would have dealt with throughout my career, like competing, and something that I'd have the tools to navigate. And I went into J-Bay feeling good, like super fired up. My surfing was feeling good. My boards were feeling really good. And like, just, yeah, I was amped. I was excited. I knew I was surfing against Jordy, which was pretty cool. Like I knew that was like something I'd always wanted to do, surf against Jordy at J-Bay. So yeah, it was just like super exciting for me. And I think I kind of like was a victim of my own demise going into that first round, because I kind of went out there and I was actually super relaxed and just like, all I wanted to do was just go out there and just try perform super well, but I was really relaxed. I wasn't like nervous or anything. And then I actually went into the heat and had like a terrible heat, but I think it was because I was trying to like surf super well and like perform and like try focus on like just like blowing up against Jordy and Crosby instead of kind of just like focusing on getting the job done. And I had like a terrible heat and like didn't get anything done. And then kind of came in and was like to my coach, I was like, you know what, like I'm actually just going to go surf my next heat. Like I don't care if I win or lose the heat, I'm just going to go surf. And that's all I'm going to try to do is just take off on waves and ride waves. And that was kind of like my motto going into the next heat. And then it ended up, yeah, being a pretty cool heat.
Talk us through the first heat. I don't think there's ever been a heat stacked filled with unfortunate events for one human to navigate. Talk us through, what happened at the start of the heat.
Oh, this is actually funny. And Jordy's going to laugh about this as well, because we were speaking about it the other day. We went to Mozam and we were speaking about it. And to now, I didn't actually know it. But I was paddling down. I paddled out of Boneyards to get the inside, which is like, for people that haven't been to J-Bay, like it's literally like J-Bay is like a straight point up. And then at the end, there's like supers here. And then there's a wave called Boneyards here. And then there's a beach break, like kind of around the corner, there's a beach break. And you can paddle out there and then come down from Boneyards to supers, or you can just paddle out the keel straight into supers. But I wanted to get the inside. So I paddled out of Boneyards and came down. And then when the heat that was in the water ended, because it was like, I don't know if it was a girls' heat or something, but we were the first heat of the round. So it was going into our round and it was a new round. And that heat ended and this massive set came and we were duck diving these sets and whatever. And as I was duck diving the set wave, I heard them saying like, okay, counting you in. And then when they said counting you in, I duck dived the wave and I was like, okay, so they've obviously started. And then there was another wave that looked like kind of all right. And I was trying to figure out if they had started or not. And like, I wasn't sure because like, I mean, on the CT, it's not like a Grom comp. They don't have like a yellow and red lolly, like saying like, oh yeah, the heat started in like 5 minutes, or it's like sideways, it's on hold. So like, I didn't really know. And then I was like to Jordy, I was like, has it started? And he was like, oh yeah, I think so. And I think he knew it. I think he knew it hadn't started, but he was like, has it started? I was like, it started. He's like, yeah, I think so. So I took off on the wave. And then whilst I was on the wave, I was like looking at the board and I was thinking, this heat hasn't started. And so like, I did a turn in low foam time. And then I realized it hadn't started and I pulled off the wave. But I didn't really for me, it didn't really matter. I was like, it's J-Bay, it's firing J-Bay. There's going to be 2-wave, 3-wave sets. Like, I couldn't care less now that I don't have priority. Like, my theory was just like, now he has to make the hard decision. Now he has to make the decision of choosing the right wave. And then it actually worked in my favor because he went on the first wave of the set, which if I was out there and I hadn't gone on that first wave before the heat had started, I probably would have gone on that wave as well. But he went on that wave, and then I went on the wave after, and the wave after was really good. It was the second wave of the set. But then I broke my board at the end of the wave and came in and was like, I have this vision of Jack Robert broke his board there in 2020 or 2021. I was just sprinting over the rocks, just absolutely sprinting. It was the most Matrix thing I've ever seen. It was just someone just motoring over these sharp rocks. And as soon as I broke my board, I was like, I'm just going to go Jack Robert mode and just sprint over these rocks. And I came in and I was just running over these rocks and just running. And then got to the beach, and my mate had my backup board, and he ran to the keel, and I ran past my whole support group of 15, 20 people, and they were just firing me up, and they were just screaming, and I was just going fast, just screaming, and then ran to the top of the keel, put my leash on and paddled out, and I was so out of any energy, but I was just I've got to get out there. I was so tired. And then as soon as I got to the lineup, I just hear the buzzer go, and I'm like, oh no, there's a shark. Damn it, man. I would have walked if I knew this was going to happen. So then the shark comes, and I jump on the back of the ski, and they're sitting on the back of the ski, and then Jordy went in, and I was on the ski, and they were telling me no, you the surfers have to stay out here. And then Jordy had gone in, and then they only told me I was allowed to go in with I think 10 minutes to the start. So I was like, oh, I might as well just stay out here and just watch the waves. And I was just sitting on the back of the ski, just watching the waves, just kind of cruising, watching the lineup, had some electrolytes. And then we were on hold for a while, and then we got back out into the lineup, and then the heat started again. And then Jordy's next wave was a 9 or something. And I was feeling good. I was like, oh, I got the better of the first exchange. This is sick. I just need to get another big score. And then he got his 9, and I was like, oh, fuck. And then he paddled back out and jumped with the ski, and I was like, bruh, why'd you have to get a 9? Come on, man. And then I was just okay, well, I'm just going to try absolutely blow up and just try surf as hard as I can. And then it was none of our Apple Watches weren't working at the time, so you couldn't see the scores or how much time is left or whatever. And then Jordy went on a wave because he actually didn't know what the situation was, and he went past me, and I had priority, and there was 5 minutes left, and I was talking about it the other day, and he actually wouldn't have gone on that wave if he knew what the situation was. And then I was paddling out. As soon as I saw he went past me on the wave, I was paddling out, and my coach was standing on the top of this hill, and I looked up at my coach, and I just saw him going like this and shaking his hand, going okay, there's an opportunity, there's a chance, because I needed an 8.5 or something, and he was like, okay, there's an opportunity, there's a chance, and I just got so fired up and just started sprint paddling to the top of the point, going, come on, I'm gonna do this, and then got away with 1 minute left and did a couple turns. And then fell short by I don't know how much, but for me, it wasn't even the fact that I fell short. It was just so sick. I couldn't have thought of the only way I could have thought of was better was to obviously win that heat. But it was such a special moment to surf against Jordy at J-Bay whilst he was world number 1. And the past couple of years, he's been one of the biggest role models to me, and looked after me and probably taking me under his wing. And then to give it to him and kind of push him was super special. And he came and he pulled off of a wave at the bottom of the keel, and we just sat there and spoke for 2 minutes or whatever, and it was just so cool to see how fired up he was. You could just see how badly he wanted it, and it was such a special moment. He was like, oh, come on, bro, you got to be here next year, come on. And then I was like, come on, bro, you got to win this event, and he was like, come on, we were just so amped up. And it was a super special moment. And then we both went in, and he just got swarmed by people. But yeah, for me, that was it's a really, really special moment to have that heat against him whilst he's world number 1, at J-Bay. It was special. I mean, you don't know how much longer he's going to be on tour for. So you kind of moments like that are moments you kind of take and hold close.
Yeah. And I'm guessing that just reaffirmed your sort of initial experience from 2022 when you had your first wild card, knowing you need an excellent range score, nearly doing it against you already said your idol, and probably the greatest to ever do it at J-Bay. Not even probably, definitely the greatest to ever do it at J-Bay. I'm guessing that's just another sort of thing that reminded you of how hungry you are to get back there?
Yeah, definitely. Like that, I left that event going like, oh, this is where I want to be. Like, I want to be on the CT. I want to be a championship tour surfer. Like, this is exactly where I want to be. Like, super, super hungry to make it there. And kind of throughout this year, whenever I've been feeling like a little bit like nervous or like anxious or like lack of confidence or whatever, I've just thought like looked back to that heat and that moment and gone like, okay, come on, like put your head back up, you can do this. And that's been a big like confidence hold for me. It's like latching onto that moment and that heat and like going with Jordy and like getting like that heat total and like almost beating him. And like that for me has been a big point of confidence going through the rest of the year, because like I really knew like going into that event there were going to be a lot of question marks. Like coming from the win in Ballito, everyone was going to kind of be looking at me going like, hey, let's see how he actually like goes against these big dogs. Like, let's see how he can like give these guys a go, or if he like underperforms, and like you'll see it's like, like it's not like just a fluke or whatever, or fluke. So I really wanted to like go and showcase that in that event. And definitely didn't do it in my first heat, but I was happy I was able to be like get some waves in my second heat, and give it a go.
The Challenger Series, it can be pretty brutal. There's constant travel, pressure, performance expectations. How's it all going for you?
Yeah, it definitely is brutal. I think like the Challenger Series it's so gnarly. Like there's 80 something guys, and I think out of those 80 something guys, I reckon like 65 of them or 70 of them can probably win an event. Like everyone's so good. The level of surfing so high, and everyone's just got so much like dog in them. They all just want to like surfing every heat is like a final for them. Everyone just wants to win so bad. And for me, like that's been my biggest thing this year is like managing the pressures and like the expectations and all these little things. And I'm kind of just trying to focus on like the present and the process this whole year, like throughout the whole year, especially after Ballito, like more so, because like after you win an event like that, the pressure's going to a lot more of like, like you need to get backup results and another big result, and like, you need to carry on performing. And these events are so hard. Like winning one heat feels like you've won the comp. And so for me, like that was my biggest thing, is like try build my consistency and then manage the pressures at the same time. And I think for me, I work really closely with this guy called Paddy Upton. And he's worked with quite a few athletes as like a mental performance coach. He actually just worked with the newest chess world champion now. And he's been super good this year with like managing pressure situations and managing all these emotions and stuff like that. And he's helped me a lot with like dealing with everything and all the like external problems. And we're kind of the thing we just got back to is, and like it's like our kind of motto is just focusing on the process and what's important now. And like whether that's like now having my off time at home, which is like training, surfing, improving, like diet, all these little things, like that's what's important. Like it's not important to think about like winning a heat or losing a heat at pipe that you haven't even surfed yet. It's like it's a lot more important to focus on what you can do now to help you later. And that's kind of been like our motto this year, is just focusing on the process. And if I can focus on the process and do all those steps right, then that will lead to the outcome. And then whatever does happen when I surf that heat, I know I've done everything in my power to do everything right. And then if I lose, at least I know I've tried and I put the effort in. And if I win, then at least I know I deserve it, And that's kind of been my biggest thing this year, is making sure I'm as prepared as I could possibly be going into every event. And that's helped me a lot.
And in your preparation, we'll go to just before you paddle out for a heat. Just give the listeners a bit of an indication of what you're like. Are you a big headphones on guy, music blasting, you deaf staring crew, or are you just hanging with the lads having a laugh?
So I don't know. I'm not like one or the other. I'm quite like, I like to be like in tune with what I'm feeling, and like if I'm feeling like I want to kind of lock it and put headphones on and kind of like escape a bit of noise, then I'll put headphones on. I like doing my own thing, like getting away from the crowd, like just going down the beach and kind of doing my own thing, doing my warm-ups, or maybe sometimes I'll like to like be actually like in the atmosphere of being around my friends and laughing and joking and like having the support of them. So I wouldn't say like I'm one or the other, but I kind of just like, usually I'll just listen to some music and kind of get a bit more zoned in, and then do like, I've got like a mobility kind of program that I'll do before every heat, and then like some reaction drills to get like my like kind of hand-eye coordination lined up. And then, yeah, like usually break it down with my coach and then paddle out for the heat. But I like to keep it quite simple before I heat. I don't try to do too much or like try, yeah, like over exert myself, or like, I definitely don't try to do any mental games with the other competitors or anything. I just kind of do my own thing and just kind of cruise. But yeah, I like to get in my own little circle, and whether that's being with my mates or kind of just escaping a bit of the noise and putting headphones on, then yeah, it's kind of one or the other. But this year I've been more headphones type of locked in guy.
Yeah. And look, you may not be WSL official. We've got a thing on this podcast, so we like to class guys as Largo official. And look, you're looking pretty good to be on the tour next year. You still got to go to Pipe in Newcastle first, and get results there. How are you feeling though? Like myself and Zach, we live in Lennox Head, which I feel like is a pretty similar spot in terms of the waves we get. We have big right-hand point break, which usually it's nowhere near as good as J-Bay, but it does draw comparisons. How are you feeling about going and surfing some of the reef breaks that you've got upcoming?
Yeah, I mean, I'm super excited. You know, like I'm really excited for Pipe. I think that's a cool one. I like as soon as they announced it at the beginning of the year, I thought it was a really good addition to the tour, to the Challenger Series tour, because I feel like it mediates, like it kind of, you need a heavy water spot like that to kind of settle in like the qualification scenarios, because it's important to have events like that, because guys that do deserve to like be on tour will overperform in those heavy water spots. And then you can see the guys that have maybe done better, that kind of maybe aren't as well experienced in the CT type of waves, will maybe like not perform as well. And I think that's like a good place to have on the Challenger Series, because it is on tour and it's a heavy water spot. And like Pipe's always a proving ground. It's been a proving ground ever since like surfing kind of started until now. So I'm super keen to go there and give it a go. Like I've done 3 winters in Hawaii, so I've been there quite a bit. And I really do enjoy surfing heavier water waves and pushing myself. So my kind of thing is just like, I want to be as well prepared as I can be going into that event, and then just focus on what I have to do. Like I know, like there's obviously qualification implications and all that, but I don't really want to think about that. I just kind of want to go and do my job. Like I want to try put myself in a position to be the one. Like I want to be in control of my own outcome. I want to be in the water, surfing for my spot and earning my spot, not waiting on the beach, you know?
Yeah.
And I think Joel Vaughan did it pretty well. Like he was in a crazy area last year. He was in literally like 8th or something like that, like super like on the bubble of the top 10 going into the last event, and definitely needed like a solid result to be on tour. And he just said, look, like I want to earn my spot on tour. I don't want to get it handed to me. And went into Brazil and just flipping performed so well, and was like just so clutch, and ended up getting like a semi or something in Brazil. And I thought that was super cool. It was like he wanted to earn a spot on tour. He didn't want to get it handed to him. And that's kind of been my whole thing as well. I want to earn my spot on tour. I don't want to get it handed to me. So I really want to go to Pipe and push myself and give it a proper go. Chuck a helmet on and just put my head down.
Sick. I love it.
What are your any good stories from the travel so far on the Challenge Series? It's always good fun traveling with a bunch of mates, going to new places. Surely there's been a few moments where you find yourself laughing hysterically at someone else's expense.
There's definitely lots of those stories. But like off the top of my head, I'm trying to think like what are some good ones. I've had some pretty funny ones. Like for me, this is a pretty funny one, but like in the hindsight, looking back, it was pretty bumming, but it's pretty funny as well. We were going to Morocco, I think like 1 or 2 years ago for a QS event, a regional event, and it's quite a mission for South Africans to go to Morocco. Like I think you have to fly to like Dubai or like somewhere in Europe and then fly to Morocco. So it's actually like quite a trip. And I was in Hawaii at the time, and I was going and meeting all my mates there, and we were going to stay together. So I was in the air. I flew from like Hawaii to LA, and then LA to like another airport, and I was in the airport, and I was paying for my boards or whatever, and my card like had a limit for like how much I was meant to spend on it in a day, and I think I had exceeded that limit already for like, I don't whatever costs, and I was paying for my boards. I got there and they were like, "How many boards do you have?" And I was still like a little bit naive. I think if I had to, or like in terms of traveling, if I had to get into the same scenario now, I'd just be like, "Oh, one board, don't worry, one board." But I had this big board bag. She's like, "How many boards you got?" And I was like, "Oh no, I only have only four boards." And then they're like, "Okay, $100 per board." And I was like, "Oh no, you're gonna be kidding me! Like $100 per board? You like this flipping QS grinder hustling? Like $100 is like make or break for you." And I'm like, "No, there's no way." I said to him, I was like, "There's no way I'm paying $400 for this board bag. Like I've never paid per board in my life, and I'm not starting now." And they were like, "No, it's our travel requirements. You have to." And I was like, "I'm not doing it." And then they're like, "Okay, it's fine. We'll give you the we'll just do the bag charge. It's like $160, and this is like USD, obviously." And then I was like, "Okay, that's all right. Like I can live with that." So then I do it, and because I had like exceeded my travel limit, I tapped my card, and my card declined. And I was like, "Oh, that's weird. Like I don't know why it declined." And then they were like, "No, try again." So I tried again, it didn't work. And they're like, "Okay, we'll bring it down to 100. Just for this time, we'll bring it down to 100." So then I tapped for 100, and then obviously it declined. Because I'm like not allowed to spend any more money, so it declines again. And then I go to like, and then she brings it to like 60 or 80, and then it declines again. And then they're like, "Hey, we're just gonna do $40, and that's it. Like that, you're lucky." And then I do it, and obviously declines again. And the chick is so bummed, and I've been with her for like 45 minutes now. And then she's like, "Whatever, I'm just gonna let you go through this just this one time." And I didn't end up paying for the whole board bag, so I got it down from like $400, went down like in increments to like $0, and I was so stoked. I was sitting there like, sick. I'm on top of the world. Just escaped $400. Like this is kiff. Like so stoked. And then meet up with the boys at the one airport on the way to Morocco, and then get to Morocco, and we get out, and everyone's getting their boards, and my boards are just nowhere to be seen, like absolutely nowhere. And I'm like, "Oh, you gotta be kidding me. Like this is not happening." And then my boards don't arrive, so now I'm in Morocco, like trying to organize my boards to get it like shipped down, and like and then I get a hold of the airline that I came with that didn't bring them. And they're like, "I don't know what you're saying. Like, you didn't even drop your board bag off with us. Like, you didn't even load it onto the flight." And I'm like, "I'm telling you, I did load it on, because I sat there with the girl complaining about $400 for like 2 hours." And anyway, I think what must have happened was this chick was like, "Screw this guy that's like just hustled me out of $400. Like, I'm not putting his boards on the plane," or something like that, because they said they didn't even get loaded onto the plane. And I didn't even check the boards in. So anyways, they were like, "We're not dealing with your boards. It's not our problem. You need to get a hold of the previous airline." So then I get hold of Hawaiian Airlines, and they were like, and that was the first airline I flew with, and they were like, "Hey, well, it's not our problem because you weren't flying to Morocco with us. You just flew to LA with us or something." And it was this whole big thing. And then eventually they ended up just sending my boards to Morocco, and I got my boards in Morocco. And I eventually got them like the day before the event or something, and they had like 100 tags on them, and they were just like, it was just such a mission. But long story short, I think if I get put in that same scenario again, I'm just going to pay the $400 and just make sure I get my boards.
Wow. Oh my God.
That's a great story.
That is a bit of a shocker for sure. Have you got a best surf trip?
I reckon my best surf trip by like a million miles has to be Namibia, going to Skeletons Bay. I reckon, like, as a surfer, like for me, like surfing for however long I've surfed for, and like even someone that's like kind of just started surfing, I reckon if you're a surfer that's like going surfing consistently, it's a trip you have to do in your life. Like I can't even describe it. Like you get there, you're in the desert, you're in the middle of nowhere, you're driving through these salt pans, and you don't even know what like direction you're going in, and then all of a sudden you at like the most perfect wave in the world. and you just can't, like, you're at the top of or you're in the middle of the point and you can't see the top and you can't see the bottom, and you're like you don't even, your brain doesn't even know how to comprehend it, because you just seen this perfect barrel come from like a kilometer away from you and run like a kilometer past you, and you like don't even know what's going on. And it's just like, it's like it's just unreal. Like you paddle out and you're just seeing barrels everywhere. Like I remember going there on the first day of the trip, I was like telling everyone, I was like, I got the wave of my life. I got the wave of my life. And it was like, I didn't even make the barrel, but it was just like, that's like the type of wave it is. You just sit in this like piece of perfection for like however long you can feel. And you're there with your mates and you're all just like freaking out. Everyone's just so frothed up. You like go surf the whole day. You're in your suit from like 6 a.m. until dark. Just getting flipping salted and just grubby, and you just don't even care because you're just frothing. And you go surf the whole day, and then you just go straight to dinner, sunblock on your face, and you all just talk about the waves you had the whole night. And then you go to bed all crusty and then wake up and do it all over again. But I think by a million miles, that was definitely the best trip I've ever done.
Amazing.
It sounds like an incredible place. Before we let you go, we've got to know about the hairstyle. Where did it come from? The frosted tips?
Yeah, so I've actually been, it's pretty funny. I've had a couple hairstyles this year. I started at the beginning of the year. I was at like a comp, and I've always wanted to do it, like just like dye my hair, but I've been like too scared of getting judged. Whatever. But too scared of being judged. And then I was there, and I was just like, you know what? Fuck this. I'm just gonna do it. And then I went and went to the hair salon, I went to the barber, and he shaved my hair, and then he didn't have dye, so I went to a hair salon, and I didn't really understand like the colors of hair. I'd never done it, so I was like, oh, I just want to get it bleached. So I bleached my hair, and I leave, and my hair is just orange, like just pure orange, and I'm like, oh no, like this is so bad. It's like yellowy orange, like looks like fire. Go back, and like all the boys are laughing at me, and like I was like, okay, no, I have to go change it. So I went back the next morning, and then I changed it, and I got it like this like platinum, and it came out white. And then I really liked it, and like it was just different, and I thought it was I thought it was cool. And then went to frosted tips, and then shaved it again and did it again. And then I actually went back, like, my hair grew out, and then went normal the last couple of months, and then I went back to do it again, but I got like a little bit of a different hairstyle. And it was actually before, like the day I was meant to fly out on this last trip that I did now. I went to Mozambique for like a bit, and it was on the day I was flying to Mozambique, and went to the hair salon or this hairdresser, and my mate was like, oh, I'm telling you, these guys are good. And I went there, and they took like 2.5 hours, and it was like the worst haircut ever, like the worst dye ever, and they weren't even done, and I had to leave for my flight. So I just left and went away, and I was like so bummed the whole trip, like just had a bad hairstyle, and I was just so bummed. And then I got back, and I was like, you know what, screw this. And it was like kind of growing out a little bit. So my mate just grabbed his razor and just started shaving my head like to like the kind of level that it's at, like the frosted tips level. And he started shaving it. And then the razor died halfway through, and I had like these full on like grandpa like strips here. It was so funny. And then eventually we actually got it right, and then it grew out. But it's at the moment it's a frosted tips, and then I don't know what I'm gonna do from there. I dyed it pink the other day for a while, but then went back to the normal. But yeah, I think I'll keep everyone guessing, and we see what comes next. Who knows? Maybe blue, maybe pink. We'll see.
We love it.
It's working, mate. You're getting results, and that's the main thing. We'll leave you on a question that's maybe a little bit more poignant than asking about your hair, and it's what's the most valuable thing you've learned this year?
I reckon it maybe like two things. I think the biggest thing for me, like personally, that I've learned like this year and the last couple of years, and if I could go back like 5 years and tell myself the same thing, it's kind of like it's not that deep. Like it's not like everyone takes everything so personally, and like looks at everyone else and so worried about like what they're doing and like what's going on around them, and everyone's so worried about what people think of them, and everyone's too busy worrying about themselves so much that to give enough of a fuck about what you're doing. So it doesn't really matter. Like just go on doing what you're doing, and if you're enjoying it, then who really cares? And that's kind of something I've been really trying to do lately. Like, it's so easy to get like stuck into like the things around you and like get pulled away from like your path or like what you want to be doing. And the thing is, you kind of really have to understand like what you want to do. And if you're doing what you want to do, then it doesn't matter what people think about you. And that's kind of been my thing lately. And then also like a big thing in my career is like, that I've learned is kind of like, if you want to have something that not everybody has, you got to be willing to do something that not everybody does. And I think that's been a very strong thing for me, because like it's super easy to like get distracted, and like people are telling you to like come out and come party or like come do this stuff, and like even in like every life, you know, like and like straying you away from like what you want to do and what you want to achieve. And I think for me, like a very big thing that I've learned now is like, if you say, it's like, well, like what I kind of use is like a short-term yes is a long-term no, and a short-term no is kind of usually a long-term yes. So like kind of like short-term gain, long-term downfall, and long-term gain is a short-term downfall, in terms of like people are telling you to come out, come party, come do what you want to do, and you go like, oh, you know, I got gym tomorrow, it's going to be good tomorrow, I want to surf the whole day, like, and you say no, you kind of get a little bit of FOMO, but you wake up the next day, surf the whole day, they'll wake up at 12 and come have a little afternoon session. You'll just think like, oh my gosh, like I'm so happy I didn't go, didn't do that or whatever. And I think it's like very true to that, and kind of like what I've seen with myself is like in everything, you know, same with like my diet and my training. Like if I don't want to go to gym and it's like kind of the last thing I want to do, and I convince myself to go to gym and I go to gym, I always leave gym feeling like I've gained something, or feeling like this like big feeling, or like internal feeling of satisfaction. And I feel like those are the type of things that you actually get like joy from, in terms of like, instead of going like and doing something that you might get a little bit of short-term joy from, and then long-term be like, oh, I shouldn't have done that. I shouldn't have gone out, shouldn't have done this. Like, you know, should have gone to gym. Like, and for me, that's been my biggest thing, is just going like, okay, I'm just going to say yes to myself.
Very good. Smart man. And we look forward to seeing what you can do at Pipeline and the rest. Good luck for the rest of the year. And thanks for joining us for a good chat. There's definitely some really good intel in there for anyone who's trying to do something similar. We'll have to catch up with you when you're on the tour, eh?
Yeah, hopefully. Oh, thank you so much for having me, and keep doing what you guys are doing. I think it's so sick, and I've been following you guys for a while, and I think everything that you guys are doing is so sick and super enjoyable to watch. And yeah, I hope you guys keep it up, because yeah, we're all loving it. Me and all my mates watch it all heaps, and yeah, it's super sick. So keep it up, boys, and hopefully link up with you in Oz.
Absolutely. Thanks so much for that, mate. And yeah, thanks again for joining us. It's been an absolute pleasure.
Alrighty, guys, that's it for our chat with Luke Thompson. Hope you guys enjoyed it as much as we did. Now we're going to talk about Stab in the Dark X, featuring Kelly Slater Finley. I didn't see this one coming. Well, I didn't foresee it being portrayed in the way that this one has been so far. What's your thoughts on it?
Mate, like I said off the top, we were given early access to this one, and any content with Kelly Slater, and I think I've made pretty clear he's kind of my hero, and I'll digest anything that he's featured in. So as you can imagine, I was particularly excited for this one. Sort of a spoiler, but not really. Kelly doesn't even really feature in this episode, and I was drawn to it heavily. Like I was so involved in just watching it. Essentially, the premise of this Stab in the Dark is I think it's the 5 best shapers, plus like an extra wild card shaper, which will remain nameless for the time being, have been invited into doing Stab in the Dark with Kelly, and it's basically all the past winners. So it's the best of the best shapers decided by the best surfer. And I think just that as a premise in itself is amazing. But yeah, I didn't think I'd be so entrenched in it just listening to shapers chat. Like just having those guys there, they topped them up with tequila upon arrival, and they were going pretty hard. And just the thing that stood out to me most was how much shit the shapers talk to each other.
Yeah, it's pretty honest. If I had to sum it up for the listeners, it's how surfers get paid meets Stab in the Dark.
Yeah.
Honest conversations that, Sam obviously just throws out a one-line question and they just attack. It's like seagulls going to a ship. It's so good. It's just raw, honest emotion and feelings and ideas that are being portrayed. I fucking loved it. The banter, it's so banterful.
Yeah.
And it's good to see cultures obviously mix as well.
Yeah.
Like you got one, I don't want to give away too much, obviously, but the different cultures that almost collide but work together. Oh man, such a good watch. All I can say is get some fucking popcorn. It's worth a watch.
Absolutely. So the snippet we were sent, and we're assuming it'll be similar to the one that you guys will be able to watch on Stab Premium, I think in the next day or so once we release this, depending on when we release it, but it's coming out this week. And yeah, it's essentially like my favorite part of it was just hearing, and we can name the shapers, I think, because we know who's won in the past. That my favorite part was Darren Hanley going to Pizell. He's been kissed on the dick by a fairy in John, and I was like, hang on a second, like, haven't you been kissed on the dick with Mick Fanning, Stephanie Gilmore, and Ethan Ewing all within Mick and Steph within like probably 5 minutes of his house. I don't know where he lives, but they're all on the Goldie. And then Ethan's like a couple hours up north as well. It's like, hang on, I don't know how that goes both ways there. Like, John's obviously the best in the world, but you haven't done too bad yourself either, DH.
Yeah. No, I loved it. It was just raw, honest conversations with a camera on. That's all it is. It's like, it almost felt like they were saying exactly what you would say, not to their face.
Yeah.
If you were, it was just so honest. I love it.
And like the point where they're like, they've got all the boards lined up and they kind of go through each individual one and they're like, I won't know. Again, I want the listeners to sort of watch this and see it for the first time. But there's one particular one who's going pretty hard and like calling them out for like the glassing and stuff. And they're going through each individual shaper and they're kind of like calling out all the flaws. And they're all the best in the world. So they're probably the only ones in the world that would notice these things, but they've all got their own little things that they point out. But yeah, it's like I said, it doesn't even right at the end, there's a bit of surfing. But it doesn't even really feature Kelly, and you'll be hooked in from the get go, and you'll be frothing for episode 2 to come out. That's all I'll say. So make sure
they don't feature much surfing, but you're not going, when are they going to start playing the surfing?
You almost don't want surfing. You're almost like, keep this coming.
Yeah. Well done, Stab. That was fucking incredible.
They've absolutely nailed it. So yeah, like I said, we've seen it, but make sure you see it because it'll be out in Stab Premium in the next day or so once we release this.
If you don't have Stab Premium, you're stingy.
Go and get it. Yeah. But from us, we hope you enjoyed today's chat with Luke, and we will see you next week for a Philippines World Juniors wrap up because we're assuming at that point the event's going to be done. So we'll have some things to talk about. But for now, it's bye from us.